Tai-Ho Kim liked the quiet of the mountains. The soft dirt under his boots felt right. The clean air filled his lungs. He hiked alone, as he often did when he needed to think. 5 years had passed since he left the military. 5 years since he stopped being a soldier and started teaching others how to survive in the wild. But his body still moved like a soldier, alert, ready, strong. He stopped to drink water from his bottle and looked up at the stars. The night sky was clear and beautiful. Tai-Ho sat on a rock and enjoyed the silence. This was why he came to the mountains. No people, no noise, just him and nature. A strange light appeared in the sky. At first, Tai-Ho thought it was a plane. Then he realized it was too bright, too fast, and moving in ways no plane could move. The light grew bigger, brighter. "What the hell?" he whispered. The light stopped directly above him. Tai-Ho felt the hair on his arms stand up. Something was wrong. His old training kicked in. He needed to move, to hide. Too late. A beam of blue light shot down from the strange object and surrounded him. Tai-Ho tried to run, but his legs wouldn't move. His whole body was frozen. The ground disappeared from under his feet as he began to float upward. "No," he shouted, but no one was there to hear him. The light pulled him higher and higher until he reached the source, a massive ship unlike anything made on Earth. As Tai-Ho entered the ship, he saw strange shapes moving around him. Not human shapes. His mind struggled to make sense of what he was seeing. The blue light disappeared, and Tai-Ho fell to the floor. He jumped to his feet, ready to fight, but stopped when he saw them clearly. Aliens, real aliens. They were tall and thin with gray-blue skin. Their eyes were large and black. They wore what looked like uniforms, silver suits with strange symbols. One of them stepped forward, human male. Healthy, strong physical condition. It said in perfect English, though its mouth didn't seem to move. The voice was in Tai-Ho's head. Another alien checked something on a small device. Military training detected. Special forces. High threat level. Tai-Ho backed away. "Who are you? What do you want?" The aliens ignored his questions. A third one joined them, wearing a different uniform with more symbols. "I am Director Nix of the Galactic Confederation Science Division. You have been selected for study." "Send me back now," Tai-Ho demanded. His eyes searched for exits, weapons, anything he could use. "Aggressive response noted," said the second alien. "Recommend termination." Director Nix made a gesture that might have been disapproval. "No. The Council ordered us to study, not destroy. This specimen is perfect for the memory erasure experiment." Memory erasure. Tai-Ho lunged forward, but before he could reach them, a wave of pain shot through his body. He fell to his knees. "Take him to Lab 7, Director Nix ordered. "Prepare the procedure." 2 more aliens entered and grabbed Tai-Ho's arms. He tried to fight, but his body wouldn't respond properly. They dragged him down a long corridor with walls that seemed to glow from within. They passed rooms filled with strange equipment. In one room, Tai-Ho saw what looked like other humans floating in tanks. His blood ran cold. "The others," he managed to say. "How many have you taken?" Director Nix walked beside him. "You are the 47th human we have collected. The others provided useful data, but you are special. Your military training makes you an ideal subject for our newest experiment." They reached a room marked with symbols that glowed blue. Inside was a chair surrounded by machines. The aliens forced Tai-Ho into the chair. Metal bands snapped around his wrists and ankles. A new alien approached, holding what looked like a helmet made of clear material. "Beginning memory erasure procedure," she said. "Subject identification, H-137. My name is Tai-Ho Kim," he shouted. "I am a human being." "Not for much longer," Director Nix said. "Soon you will be a blank slate, and we will learn exactly how humans adapt when they remember nothing at all." The helmet was placed on Tai-Ho's head. Pain exploded behind his eyes. He screamed as darkness took him. Scientist Rin checked the screens around Taiho's unconscious body. Numbers and strange symbols flashed across them. She had studied humans for 3 years, but this was her first time working with the memory erasure technology. Heart rate stable. Brain activity normal, she said to the others in the lab. The room was clean and white. 6 aliens worked at different stations. Taiho lay on a flat table in the center. The clear helmet on his head was now connected to many wires. Director Nix watched from behind a glass wall. "Begin the procedure," he ordered through a speaker. Rin nodded and pressed a series of buttons. The helmet began to glow with a soft blue light. Jai-1, Rin's assistant, looked worried. She was younger than the others and new to the science division. "Are we sure this is right?" she asked quietly. Taking someone's memories is like taking their life. Senior researcher Da-hyun turned to her with cold eyes. "The council decided humans are too dangerous to study with their memories intact. Your job is to follow orders, not question them." Jai-1 lowered her head and said nothing more, but her eyes stayed on Taiho's face. On the main screen, images began to appear. They were seeing Taiho's memories as the machine pulled them out. They saw him as a child playing with other human children. They saw him as a young man joining the military. They saw his training, running, fighting, shooting, surviving in harsh places. "Look at how they train their warriors," Da-hyun said. "So primitive, yet effective." Rin studied the brain scans. "His neural pathways are different from our previous subjects. See how this area lights up during combat memories." The images continued. They saw Taiho in battles. They saw him save other humans. They saw him kill enemies. Each memory was pulled out of his mind and stored in the ship's computers. "Fascinating," Da-hyun said. "The human brain creates such strong connections to violent events." As they watched the memories, none of them noticed something important. While the machine removed what Taiho knew and remembered, it could not touch what his body knew. The years of training had changed his muscles, his reflexes, his instincts. These were not just in his mind, but in every cell of his body. The aliens did not understand this. To them, memory was all in the brain. After 3 hours, the machine had taken every memory. Taiho's life was now just data in the ship's computers. "Memory extraction complete," Rin announced. "Beginning final scan." She checked the last readings. Subject's mind shows no access to biographical information, skills, or training. The procedure was successful. Director Nix entered the lab. "Excellent. When will the subject be ready for the experiment?" Da-hyun checked Taiho's vital signs. "We should keep him sedated for 12 hours. His body needs to recover. Prepare him for the simulation environment." Director Nix ordered. "I want him placed in Scenario 3 to start." Jai-1 looked up. "Scenario 3. But that's designed for subjects with partial memory. He has nothing left." "Exactly," said Director Nix. "I want to see how quickly a human adapts from zero. The council needs to know what makes them so resilient." As they talked, Taiho's fingers moved slightly. Deep in his unconscious mind, something remained. His body remembered things his mind no longer knew. Later, when the lab was quiet, only G1 remained to monitor the sleeping human. She looked at his face and felt sad. "I'm sorry," she whispered, though she knew he couldn't hear. She didn't notice his heart rate change slightly when a noise outside sounded like gunfire. She didn't see how his muscles tensed and relaxed, a body responding to a threat it recognized even when the mind did not. The aliens had taken Taiho's memories, but they had missed something important, something that would soon prove lethal. In 12 hours, they would learn their mistake. Taiho opened his eyes. The world around him made no sense. Trees with purple leaves, 2 suns in a green sky, strange birds with 6 wings flying above. He sat up and felt the soft grass under his hands. He wore simple clothes, a gray shirt and pants. No shoes. "Where am I?" He asked out loud. His own voice surprised him. It sounded familiar, yet strange. Then he realized something worse. He didn't know who he was. Panic rose in his chest. He tried to remember anything, a name, a place, a face. Nothing came. His mind was empty. Hello, he called. No one answered. Unknown to Taiho, a team of aliens watched him from their control room. Large screens showed him from different angles. Chief Scientist Jun took notes as Taiho looked around in confusion. Subject H-137 is conscious, Jun said. First response is disorientation, as expected. Director Nix stood behind him. How long until he attempts to find water? Based on previous human subjects, between 30 minutes and 2 hours, Rin answered. She monitored Taiho's vital signs on her screen. Back in the simulation, Taiho stood up. Though he had no memories, basic needs began to guide him. He felt thirsty. He needed to find water. He looked around and saw a small hill nearby. Something inside him said to go higher to see more. He didn't know why he thought this, but it made sense. Look, Jai-1 said, pointing to her screen. He's seeking high ground first, not water. That's unusual for initial response. Da-hyun frowned. Interesting. Most subjects wander randomly at first. Taiho climbed the hill. From the top, he could see more of this strange world. A forest of purple trees stretched to his right. To his left, open fields. And ahead, a line of blue that might be water. He started walking toward the blue line. His body moved with balance and strength he didn't know he had. In the control room, Jun made more notes. Subject shows good physical condition despite memory loss, moving with purpose toward the water source. Speed up the test, Director Nix ordered. Introduce the first challenge. Rin pressed buttons on her console. In the simulation, the ground shook. A crack opened in front of Taiho. From it came a creature with scales and sharp teeth. It was as big as a large dog and looked hungry. Taiho stopped. He should have been terrified. He had no memory of any animal, let alone a monster like this. But instead of fear, he felt something else, a calm focus. The creature charged. Without thinking, Taiho moved. His body shifted to the side at the last second. The creature missed him and skidded past. Did you see that? Jai-1 gasped. That was a trained evasion technique. Taiho himself looked surprised at what his body had done. The creature turned and charged again. This time, Taiho grabbed a rock from the ground and threw it hard. It hit the creature's head with perfect aim. The creature howled and backed away. Impossible, Da-hyun said. He shouldn't have that level of coordination or accuracy. Taiho picked up a long branch from the ground and held it like a weapon. Again, he didn't know why he did this. It just felt right in his hands. When the creature came again, he swung the branch with precise movements. The creature retreated into the crack, which closed behind it. In the control room, silence fell as they watched Taiho continue his journey toward the water, as if nothing unusual had happened. His body remembers what his mind has forgotten, Jun finally said. Director Nix's eyes narrowed. Increase monitoring. I want to know exactly what this human is capable of. At the water's edge, Taiho knelt and drank. Then he looked at his reflection for the first time. A face he didn't recognize stared back at him. Yet somewhere deep inside, beyond memory, he knew who he was. He just had to remember. 3 weeks passed. Taiho had built a simple shelter near the water. He had found fruits that were safe to eat by watching which ones the strange animals ate. He had made tools from sticks and stones. Every day, he explored more of this world. Every night, he tried to remember who he was, but his mind remained empty of memories. In the control room, the aliens watched him with growing concern. He's adapting too quickly, Security Officer Han said. Look at the shelter. That's military design. Easy to defend, hard to see from a distance. Rin checked the data on her screen. His brain scans show no access to his past knowledge, yet his actions show training. Director Nix studied the screens with intense interest. This is why humans are so dangerous. Let's increase the difficulty. June looked worried. We should report these findings to the council first. Not yet, Director Nix said. I want more data. Activate the Level 2 Predator. In the simulation, Tai-Ho was fishing with a spear he had made. The water rippled. He sensed something was wrong and stepped back from the edge. A huge creature burst from the water. It was twice Tai-Ho's size with sharp claws and teeth. In the control room, Jai-Won gasped. That's too dangerous. He has no weapons for that. But Tai-Ho didn't run. His body shifted into a fighting stance. His eyes scanned the area quickly, looking for anything he could use. The creature charged. Tai-Ho rolled to the side with perfect timing. He grabbed his fishing spear and held it ready. When the creature turned to attack again, he didn't throw the spear. Instead, he waited until the last second, then stepped aside and drove the spear into a spot where the scales were thinner. That's a kill technique, Han said with surprise. He aimed for the weak point without hesitation. The creature fell with a loud cry. Tai-Ho pulled out his spear and backed away, watching to make sure it was really dead. Impossible, Da-hyun whispered. He fought like a trained warrior. Director Nix leaned forward. What's he doing now? Tai-Ho knelt by the dead creature. He took a stone tool from his belt and began to cut into the creature. With skilled hands, he removed the sharp claws and teeth. He's making weapons, Han said. Better ones. Later that day, Tai-Ho sat outside his shelter. He had attached the claws to a wooden handle, making a knife. He had used the teeth to make a saw. His hands worked with skill that should have been impossible for someone with no memories. His muscle memory is intact, Jun said, showing a report to Director Nix. His body remembers skills his mind does not. Is this common in humans? Director Nix asked. We don't know, Rin answered. We've never erased a warrior's memories before. Han stepped forward. We should terminate the experiment. This human is becoming more dangerous every day. No, Director Nix said firmly. This is exactly why we study humans. They adapt in ways no other species does. That night, as Tai-Ho slept in his shelter, he dreamed for the first time. Not memories, but fragments. People in uniforms. The sound of gunfire. His hands assembling a weapon in darkness. He woke with a gasp. The dreams made no sense to him, but they felt real. His heart beat fast, and his body was ready to fight. In the dark, he looked at his hands. Who am I? He whispered. He didn't know that the aliens watching him were asking the same question, and they were beginning to fear the answer. Increase security protocols, Director Nix ordered, and prepare for Phase 3. Tai-Ho stood on a hill, watching the two suns set. After 5 weeks in this strange place, he had built a better life than anyone expected. His main shelter was strong and hidden in the trees. He had made traps for food. He had even created a second shelter as a backup. He didn't know that these were all military tactics. His mind still had no memories, but his body moved with years of training. In his hand, he held a new weapon. He had made a bow from flexible wood and string from plant fibers. The arrows had stone tips, sharpened with care. He had never seen a bow before, not in this new life, but his hands knew how to make one. In the control room, the aliens watched with growing worry. He's making more advanced weapons each day, Han said. First spears, then knives. Now this. Director Nix didn't seem worried. Excellent. The data we're collecting is beyond valuable. The council will be pleased. Or terrified, Han muttered. Meanwhile, Jai-Won had been studying the human brain scans in a separate lab. She found something the others had missed. Humans stored different types of memory in different parts of the brain. Their procedure had erased conscious memories, but left other types intact. I need to report this, she said to herself. Back in the simulation, Tai-Ho practiced with his bow. Each arrow hit exactly where he aimed. His body knew the perfect stance, the right way to hold the bow, how to control his breathing. "Watch this," Jones said to the others. He pressed a button. In the simulation, 3 flying creatures appeared. They were fast and had sharp beaks. They dived toward Tai-Ho. Without panic, Tai-Ho notched an arrow. He tracked the first creature, leading its path slightly, then released. The arrow struck perfectly. Before the first creature hit the ground, he had fired twice more. All 3 creatures fell. "That's impossible," Da-Hyun whispered. "Even with training, no one hits moving targets that accurately without practice. Especially when they can't remember ever using a bow," Rin added. Jae-won rushed into the control room, holding a datapad. "I found something important. Humans store procedural memories. The memory of how to do things, separately from declarative memories. The memory of facts and events." "So," Director Nix asked, "so our procedure only erased his declarative memories. His procedural memories, all his combat training, is still intact in his cerebellum and basal ganglia." The room fell silent as they all realized what this meant. "We didn't erase his abilities," Han said slowly. "We just erased his memory of learning them. And his memory of ethics, rules, and restraint," Jae-won added. In the simulation, Tai-Ho collected his arrows and the creatures he had killed. As he worked, his fingers found a small metal object on one creature's neck, a tracking device. He studied it carefully. Something about the technology seemed to trigger a feeling in him. Not a memory, but a sense of familiarity. For the first time, he realized that this world might not be natural, that someone might be watching him. He found one of the trackers, Rin reported, her voice tense. They watched as Tai-Ho looked directly up at the sky, as if he could see through it to the cameras watching him. "He suspects something," Jones said. Director Nix stood up. "Move to Phase 3. Put him against an intelligent opponent." "That's too dangerous," Jae-won protested. "He's not just surviving now. He's starting to think tactically." "Exactly," Director Nix said. "And I want to see what happens when he needs to fight something smart." As the aliens argued, Tai-Ho returned to his shelter. He placed the tracker on a rock and crushed it with another rock. Then he began to prepare. Someone or something was watching him. And deep inside, in the part of him that remembered how to fight, he knew that meant danger was coming. The next morning, Tai-Ho woke before sunrise. He sensed something had changed. The air felt different. He grabbed his weapons and moved silently out of his shelter. In the distance, he saw them, 3 figures walking through the forest. They looked almost human, but moved too smoothly. Their skin shone in the early light. "The humanoid robots are active," Rin reported in the control room. "Subject H-137 has spotted them." Director Nix watched the screens with intense focus. "Good. Now we'll see how he handles intelligent opponents." The robots were designed to test Tai-Ho's reactions to other thinking beings. They carried simple weapons, clubs and spears, and were programmed to capture him. Tai-Ho didn't run. He watched from behind a tree, studying how they moved and searched. Then he did something that surprised everyone watching. He set a trap. Working quickly, he dug a shallow pit and covered it with branches and leaves. Then he made noise to draw the robots toward it. "That's a standard military ambush technique," Han said, his voice tight with concern. One robot fell into the pit. The others stopped and scanned the area. Tai-Ho was already moving through the trees. He came up behind one robot and struck hard with his stone knife at the back of its neck, exactly where a human spine would be. The robot fell, damaged but not destroyed. The third one turned and swung its club at Tai-Ho. He blocked with his arm, wincing at the pain, then kicked the robot's knee. As it stumbled, he drove his knife into its eye, the most vulnerable spot. "He's targeting weak points perfectly," Jun said, making notes rapidly. This goes beyond muscle memory. This is tactical thinking. In the simulation, Taiho stood over the damaged robots. He knelt and examined them closely. Their bodies were clearly artificial. He touched the smooth skin, the metal visible where his knife had cut through. Something happened in Taiho's mind. A flash of memory, not complete, but fragments. Men in uniforms, training with metal objects that shot fire, the feeling of danger. He shook his head, trying to clear it. But more fragments came. Fighting, missions, orders. Brain activity increasing in the hippocampus, Rin reported, staring at her screen. The combat situation is triggering memory pathways we thought were erased. Impossible, Dahyun said. The procedure was complete, but the connections remain, Jai-1 explained. The combat is rebuilding pathways through his procedural memory. Taiho took weapons from the robots. He studied how they were made. Then he looked at the robots again. They were not natural. This world was not natural. He was being tested. Anger filled him. Not blind rage, but cold, focused anger. The kind soldiers feel when they discover an enemy. He began to search the robots more carefully. In the chest of one, he found a small device with blinking lights. Without knowing why, he understood it was important. He removed it and studied the wires and buttons. In the control room, alarms began to sound. He's found the control node, Rin shouted. If he damages it. Taiho pressed two wires together. The sky above him flickered. For a moment, he saw what looked like a ceiling with lights. Simulation stability failing, Jun reported. He's found a weakness in the system. Taiho's eyes narrowed. Now he was sure. This world was fake. He was trapped. And someone was watching. He connected more wires. The world around him glitched again. Trees disappeared. The ground showed metal underneath. Shut it down, Han shouted. He's breaking containment. Director Nick stood frozen, watching Taiho work with skilled hands on technology he shouldn't understand. Too late, Rin said as alarms blared louder. In the simulation, Taiho connected one final wire. The world around him shattered like glass. The trees, sky, and ground disappeared. He found himself in a white room with a door that was now unlocked. Alarms blared throughout the research facility. Red lights flashed in every corridor. Taiho stepped through the doorway into a long white hallway. He still didn't know who he was or where he came from, but he knew one thing for certain. He was a prisoner, and these alarms meant he was now free. Security breach in Simulation Room 3. A voice announced over speakers. Subject H-137 has escaped containment. In the control room, chaos erupted. Scientists rushed to secure data while security personnel grabbed weapons. How did this happen? Director Nix demanded, his face pale with anger. He shouldn't have been able to understand the control node technology. Dahyun said, shaking his head. It's impossible. Officer Han was already moving toward the door. I'll handle this personally. Lock down all sections. Taiho moved silently through the hallway. His body pressed against walls at corners. He checked for threats before moving forward. He didn't know that these were special forces tactics. His body simply did what felt right. He heard footsteps approaching. Two security guards ran around the corner, carrying strange weapons. Without hesitation, Taiho charged at them. The guards fired, but Taiho dropped and rolled beneath the energy blasts. He came up between them and struck with precision. One blow to a throat, another to a knee. Both guards fell. Taiho took their weapons and continued moving. He's disabled two guards in Section 4, Rin reported, watching security camera feeds. He's armed now. Jai-1 looked at the monitors with wide eyes. He's not killing them, just disabling them. He's heading for the central computer core, Jun realized. But how does he know where it is? He's never seen the facility layout. In the hallways, Taiho moved with purpose. He didn't understand why, but something pulled him toward the center of the facility. Each intersection, each choice of direction, felt like his body already knew the way. Military installations often had similar layouts, and his muscle memory guided him. He entered a large room filled with screens and control panels. Two scientists looked up in shock. Tai-Ho raised the alien weapon, but didn't fire. "Don't move," he said, his first words since escaping. The scientists raised their hands. Tai-Ho moved to a main console and looked at the screens. Strange symbols covered them, but somehow parts seemed familiar. He pressed buttons in a sequence his fingers somehow remembered. The screens changed. Now they showed Earth, blue oceans, green and brown land. Tai-Ho stared at it, feeling a connection he couldn't explain. "That's my home," he whispered. In the control room, Jun watched in disbelief. "He's accessing our database. How is he bypassing security?" "Military tactics," Han said as he loaded his weapon. "Humans train their soldiers to use enemy technology." Director Nix grabbed Jai-Won's arm. "Can you block him remotely?" Before she could answer, the lights went out. Emergency power came on, casting everything in a dim red glow. "He's shutting down systems," Rin said. "Power, communications, door controls." Han spoke into his communicator. "All units, converge on Central Data Core. Capture subject H-137 alive if possible." Meanwhile, Tai-Ho downloaded information to a portable device he'd taken from one of the scientists. Images of Earth, of humans, of himself. With each image, more fragments of memory surfaced. Not complete, but enough to fuel his determination. He found a map of the facility. He'd identified his location and planned a route to what looked like a shuttle bay. If he could reach it, he might find a way home, to the blue planet that called to him. As he left the data core, he heard many footsteps approaching. He took a different corridor, moving deeper into the facility. The hunt had begun. But in this hunt, the prey was becoming the hunter. And with each passing minute, more of Tai-Ho's training returned to his body, making him more dangerous than the aliens could have imagined. Tai-Ho moved through the dark corridors of the alien ship. He had disabled the main lights, giving himself an advantage. His eyes adjusted quickly to the dim emergency lighting. The aliens were struggling to find him, but he could hear and sense their movements. He reached a door marked with strange symbols. Something told him this was important. He used the access card he had taken from a guard to open it. Inside was a small laboratory. Computer screens showed images of humans in tanks. Tai-Ho felt a chill run through his body. There were others like him here. 46 subjects before me, he whispered, remembering something he had read in the files he downloaded. As he examined the room, the door opened behind him. Tai-Ho spun around, weapon raised. Jai-Won stood there, hands up. "Please don't shoot," she said. Tai-Ho kept the weapon pointed at her. "Who are you? What is this place?" "My name is Jai-Won. I'm a researcher," she spoke slowly. "This is a Galactic Confederation research vessel. You were brought here for study. Why can't I remember anything?" Tai-Ho asked. His voice was calm, but his eyes were intense. Jai-Won took a small step forward. "We erased your memories. It was an experiment to see how humans adapt." Anger flashed across Tai-Ho's face, but he controlled it. "Show me." Jai-Won moved to a computer and typed quickly. The screen showed Tai-Ho lying on a table, the clear helmet on his head. "This was 6 weeks ago," she explained. "We took everything, your name, your past, your knowledge. But not everything," Tai-Ho said. "My body still remembers." Jai-Won nodded. "We didn't understand human memory. Your procedural memory, the memory in your muscles, stayed intact." Tai-Ho lowered his weapon slightly. "Who am I?" Jai-Won pulled up a file. "Your name is Tai-Ho Kim. You were a Special Forces soldier for 10 years. Now you teach survival skills on Earth." Images appeared on the screen. Tai-Ho in a military uniform, Tai-Ho teaching people in a forest, Tai-Ho climbing mountains. You were hiking when we took you, Jai-1 continued. The council ordered us to study humans because your species adapts faster than any other we've encountered. More memories began to surface in Taiho's mind. Fragments of his life, his training, his home. Why are you helping me? He asked, suspicious. Because what we did was wrong, Jai-1 said simply, taking people against their will, erasing their minds. It's not research, it's cruelty. Before Taiho could respond, alarms changed their tone. A new announcement came over the speakers. All personnel to emergency stations. The ship is changing course. Returning to Confederation space. What does that mean? Taiho asked. Jai-1's face showed fear. Director Nix is taking the ship back to Confederation territory. Once there, you'll never escape. They'll dissect you to study why the memory erasure failed. Taiho processed this information quickly. I need to reach the shuttle bay. It's too late, Jai-1 said. They'd locked it down. But there's another way. She moved to another computer. You can send a message to Earth. Let them know about us. Taiho looked at the screen showing Earth. His home. A planet that didn't know about the aliens who were taking humans for experiments. Show me how, he said. Jai-1 quickly explained the communication system. But the system needs command-level access. We need to get to the bridge. Taiho checked his weapon. More memories were returning now. Training, missions, tactics. He wasn't just a survivor anymore. He was becoming a soldier again. The bridge, he repeated. Where is it? Jai-1 pulled up a map on the screen. Here, but it's heavily guarded. Taiho studied the map, his military mind already forming a plan. Not for long, he said. As they prepared to leave, Taiho looked at Jai-1. Why did your people choose me? Because you were the perfect subject, she answered. Strong, skilled, experienced in survival. Director Nix thought you would be the ultimate test. He was right, Taiho said, but not in the way he expected.